On this episode of Mythbusters,
Fire in the hole!
it's Wham, Bam, Thank You Fans. It's another Myths Revisited special,
No telling what might happen this time.
where you judge how the Mythbusters have been conducting themselves. Were Adam and Jamie responsible for a trombone travesty?
That's just awesome.
Did the exploding hammers myth strike a low blow?
Whoa!
And we revisit two high-caliber myths, where you say the guys didn't aim up.
Oh, Jamie.
Now we're talking.
Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage
Ow, 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 ow.
and Jamie Heineman.
It's almost too exciting.
Between them, more than 30 years of special effects experience.
Cue dramatic music.
Joining them, Carrie Byron,
That's gonna be so cool!
Grant Imahara,
Listen to that baby purr!
and Tori Belleci.
Paramedics are nowhere to be found.
They don't just tell the myths, they put them to the test. Yes, it's that time again. The Mythbusters are going to answer their critics the only way they know how, by going back to the drawing board. And first on the chopping block, a myth that has long been a trombone of contention with fans.
Yeah, you know, we shot Mad Trombonist during season 1. That's the longest distance we've ever had between a myth and its revisit. What the heck did we get wrong?
There wasn't a trombonist.
Once upon a time, two fresh-faced fledgling Mythbusters blew up some brass. The myth, a trombonist wants to put a bit more bang into the 1812 overture. So he fills his mute with firecrackers. When they go off, the force of the blast turns the trombone slide into a musical missile, which strikes the conductor and knocks him into the audience. But no matter how much black powder Jamie packed into that trombone, the slide wouldn't fly. When the smoke had cleared and the police had calmed down, Adam was adamant.
We have taken this myth absolutely to pieces. This is another rarity for us. Every aspect of it is completely impossible.
That left fans feeling brassed off, and they've been demanding an encore performance ever since. Only this time, they want to see a pair of lips pressed against the trombone's mouthpiece.
So how would a trombonist have made a difference?
The idea is that the trombonist's lips would seal the trombone more effectively, hence making the explosive propel the slide off the end of the trombone like a rocket.
Okay, that's good enough. You know, if we're going to do this, though, I think we should make sure we can put it way to bed. Let's put a pair of lips behind the mouthpiece, but if that doesn't work, let's make a mouthpiece that we weld shut.
Sure.
Okay, so according to you guys, having someone's mouth pressed against the trombone will make it a sealed system. Expanding gases from the explosion will no longer be able to escape through the mouthpiece. They'll have nowhere to go but through that slide. Right, you asked for it. Adam and Jamie are going to take it again from the top.
Look at all those trumpets.
Did you play the trumpet?
No.
Weren't you a bugler in the Civil War?
Once again, the guys go trawling for trombones. Second hand, of course.
Perfect.
They also need some mouthpieces. And some mutes.
Unfortunately, this is the last note this trombone will ever play.
Trust Adam to turn a trombone into an instrument of torture. Question is, will they still be able to blow their own trumpet when this revisit's done?
finger in a barrel. I knew we were going to have to revisit this one. That's the one where a gun barrel can explode into a banana peel, just like in the cartoons.
This one's well worth a revisit, if only so we can catch up with our friends, the Mythtoons. They're a gun barrel of laughs. When our familiar foes come face to face, there's plenty of animated animosity. But instead of saying his prayers, our cheeky red-haired rodent forces his finger into the barrel, and the hunter's best-laid plans backfire big time. The Mythbusters tried to get the same result in real life. They took modern rifles and plugged ballistics gel fingers into the barrels. The bullets won, hands down.
Look at the very tip
I'll
of the
be
barrel.
darned.
And while they got one or two bulges in their barrels, nothing could trigger that famous cartoon banana peel.
I don't want to count our chickens before they hatch, but I think we may end up revisiting this one.
Well, Adam, those chickens have now hatched, and they're coming home to roost. Since busting the myth, fans have been firing a volley of suggestions.
First, we should try this. It's an older gun with a Damascus barrel.
And what is that?
Well, up until the 20th century, they were making Damascus barrels, and that's where they would take alternate strips of steel and iron, twist it around a rod, and then weld it together. So it wasn't one piece of metal.
Okay, so let's get that straight. A Damascus barrel was made by taking strips of iron and steel and welding them together. According to fans, those weld points weaken the structure, and if the barrel is blocked, they'll give us our cartoon peel back.
Oh, it looks like I need to go dig out the hand molds we used last time.
And I'll work on a remote trigger, because if this does indeed work, it could very well explode.
While the guys get to work, let's revisit the science behind this cartoon caper. Pull the trigger of a gun, and there's a small explosion. The expanding gases propel the bullet through and out the barrel. Lock the barrel, however, and the gas has nowhere to escape. The pressure builds, and gun ruptures. Some fans might rupture too when they see what the Mythbusters are going to do with this collector's item.
Boy, you better marry my daughter.
This 10-gauge shotgun had both barrels fashioned Damascus style.
This one was made in 1877, so it's an antique. And we're going to destroy it.
Grant mounts the shotgun on Jamie's special rifle rig and wires up a remote trigger.
Have a radio control system that transmits a wireless signal to the receiver. The receiver sends a control signal to the servo. It's going to turn the head of the servo, which pulls a string. The string goes around the trigger and is captured on the other side by a hose clamp, and then that fires the gun. 3, 2, 1. There you go.
Meanwhile, you gotta hand it to Carrie. She's got hand-making down pat.
So here we have a ballistics gel hand with a skeleton cast inside. It's been sitting up overnight, and the nervous part is over because it came out of the mold and looks all right.
Out in the Mythbusters' purpose-built bunker, the rifle rig is screwed down, and Carrie fits the finger into the Damascus barrel.
Another thing that I read off the message board was people were complaining that we didn't have a skin layer on the outside of our ballistics gel. So I've been recommended to use a finger from a glove to create a skin layer, which will make an extra seal. Here we go. One skin layer, an extra bit of authenticity, and at least one audience member, if not many, much more satisfied with our results.
Hey, Al.
Overseeing the experiment, firearms specialist Sergeant Alan Normandy. He always rides shotgun when the guys go busting gun myths.
So we have the shotgun set up. What kind of ammo are we using today?
Well, today we're going to go with maximum power, so we're going with a 3.5-inch Magnum 10-gauge rifled slug.
It's a big bullet.
It's a big shell.
It's the first round this museum piece has seen in quite a while.
This shotgun is absolutely unsafe with modern ammunition.
Fantastic!
All right.
Oh, wow!
Hey, we got something.
The hand's gone.
Dang, I think the gun's ruined.
That's pretty good. It's better than we got last time.
First time round, all they got was a little barrel bone. This time, the Damascus barrel's torn open and peeled back like cardboard. That's a better result, but it's still not the full banana. And unlike the cartoons, the guy who pulled the trigger still has a face.
Our shooter doesn't look harmed at all.
But the guy with the finger, little worse for wear, wouldn't you say?
Not so good.
It's obvious a flesh and bone finger isn't strong enough to cause a barrel to explode. So, Tori wants to take a slight detour on the road to Damascus barrel busting.
I found this piece of steel. It fits perfectly in the barrel, like so. I'm just going to cut off a little piece, and then I'm going to sculpt it to look like a finger, just because I can.
Being the model maker that he is, Tori is pretty handy at making a finger.
And there's my steel finger.
Tori, that needs to go into another orifice. Thank you.
I am going to weld in the steel finger that I made into the good barrel. This way, we're sure that it's not going to pop out when we take a shot.
The barrel is now well and truly blocked. Back in the bunker, the shotgun is remounted. And Carrie loads another shell.
Okay, we're hot.
We're set for a cartoon catastrophe.
Fire in the hole! 3, 2, 1!
Oh!
The shotgun suddenly becomes a sawn-off.
That's not a banana peel. That's like loss of tip.
That just total shattered the end off.
But where's the finger?
The end is gone.
We wrecked the gun.
Steel finger,
Gone.
gone.
All right, we'll find the finger later.
Our hirsute hunter has suffered no ill effects, but the Damascus is done for.
So in our second test with the steel plug welded into the Damascus barrel, we didn't get any banana peeling effect. Now this piece may look like it's a banana peel, but it's not actually a part of the barrel. This is just a detail piece that goes between the two barrels of this double-barreled shotgun.
Once again, the finger myth gets the thumbs down.
Bang it.
Still to come on Myths Revisited, the guys become Black's Mythbusters as the hammer falls on a tall tool tail. And up next, the day the music died. Can a trombone turn rocket launcher? It's a musical mishap that could have come straight from the golden age of slapstick. Can a mute full of fireworks turn a trombone slide into a musical missile? For this raucous recital, Adam and Jamie are off to the Alameda County Bomb Range. Look at this. Isn't this so Mythbusters? Jamie's truck flanked by the bomb squad and the paramedics. Just like last time, Buster the conductor will have to face the music. He'll be propped up on a simple metal frame. Should he be buffeted by flying brass, he'll topple backwards. Now he just has to dress for the occasion. Hey, Buster, that suit's a nice, cut.
Butt's too big.
Last time they tried this, the trombone was on its own. This time, crucially, they've got a bust of Grant puckering up behind the mouthpiece.
This is ballistics material. It's got the same consistency as human flesh, human muscle tissue. That's behind this mouthpiece. He is snug there. That is a committed trombonist behind this mouthpiece.
To make sure that the slide can launch smoothly, Jamie takes out his handy tube of lube and goes to work. And we suddenly find out yet another startling fact about his past.
The only time I had any kind of band instrument experience was I got a hold of an old tuba. So I mounted it in the bathroom when I was a teenager, and you could sit on the toilet and everybody in the house knew what was going on.
That's unique.
Hold it. At this point, there are so many one-liners, my brain's about to explode. Stuff about movements, bum notes, crotchets, and wind. Oh, no! Okay, better now. While we try to wipe from our minds the image of the Heinemann Cistern Symphony, let's take stock.
Here is a disgruntled or very ambitious trombone player. He's decided during the 1812 overture to fill his mute with explosives for the finale. He fills them with explosives, they blow up, they send his slide shooting all the way towards the conductor, boom, who falls backwards and into the audience. That's the myth.
With the bomb squad supervising, the mute is packed with black powder and loaded into the trombone bell. Places, please, everybody. We're ready to strike up the band.
Good to go. This is Mad Trombonist. Lips behind the mouthpiece revisit in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. I can see the slide moved a little bit.
Just a little.
I'm having the most shocking sense of deja vu.
The high speed shows the mute flying from the trombone like shiny shrapnel and bouncing off Buster's cranium. But he remains unmoved. And as for the trombone slide, well, it's still firmly attached to the instrument.
The trombonist's lips don't seem worse for wear, but I don't think they made much of a difference.
In the name of due diligence, and because they love blowing stuff up, the guys reset for a reprise. This time, Jamie doubles the amount of black powder.
That's perfect.
This mute is going to be anything but.
In 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
The music's on fire.
Now that's a finale.
In the aftermath of the second bomb trombone, it seems the Mythbusters might have settled an old score with the fans.
Again, just like the last one, we can see the shockwave in the bell, and the slide didn't come off.
That's about the only thing that didn't suffer with this one, is the slide,
It didn't even knock the baton from his hand.
which is barely hanging there.
This musical myth is looking more busted than Pete Townshend's guitar. Or is it?
I think there's one last thing we could do to put this to bed once and for all, and that would be to take our second backup trombone and solder or weld the mouthpiece so that no air can escape from it.
Okay.
Not just count on the lips, but make a complete blockage there and see if that works.
If you say so.
Try and have some enthusiasm, Jamie.
Don't believe the cartoons, friends. Shoving your finger in the barrel of a gun won't make the gun explode. Your hand, however, will.
The guy with the finger. A little worse for wear, wouldn't you say?
Not so good.
But that's not all, folks. Having busted the myth a second time, the Mythbusters now want to find out what will make a barrel bend back like a banana peel.
That's like loss of tip.
And the fans have a surefire suggestion.
So next test is somebody was shooting a 30-06 with the bore sighter still in the barrel, and that thing ripped to shreds.
I'm extremely familiar with the pictures of that. I have had so many emails sent to my inbox going, look, banana peel.
We got the same exact gun that happened with, so we're going to set that up and try it the same way.
I really want to find out if that's real.
Do these photos show a real deal peel? Are they smoking gun evidence? The Mythbusters have their sights set on finding out.
With the bore sighter, you put it in, you turn on the laser, and where the laser goes, that's where the bullet should go. Then you get your scope, and you put your crosshairs on that laser point.
Of course, you're supposed to take the bore sighter out of the barrel before pulling the trigger, something our unfortunate marksman apparently forgot to do. Sergeant Normandy's got a theory as to how this scenario might work.
Perhaps the little rubber gaskets on the bore sighter create such an adequate seal on what is a fairly small diameter for the bullet that it creates so much pressure in the barrel that it blows it up.
Containment, combustion, explosion.
Exactly.
Okay, then let's see.
Okay, we are loaded.
They've got a brand new 30-06 hunting rifle with a bore sighter stuck in the barrel.
3, 2, 1.
Oh, what the heck?
I think the bore sighter bounced off the bullet catcher and hit the light.
Oh, wait a minute. We got a split.
Did we?
Yeah, it split the barrel.
Wow.
That's about a 3-inch split. The barrel's separated from the stock. The bore sighter's in bits, but still no banana peel.
Well, I'm feeling like it is possible. I mean, we have never gotten any kind of damage like this before where it's actually splitting down the length of the barrel.
Think about it. This has got to be a 1 in a million shot to create that banana peel effect. We've got a crack up the barrel. We've got the stock separated. I mean, under the perfect circumstances, that photo could be that 1 in a million shot.
Also, we don't know what the age of the gun was, what kind of abuse it might have gone through. This is a brand new gun.
That's a totally valid point. It's like he could have had that gun for years and it was already stressed. That's a great point.
All right, so I guess we call this one plausible.
Plausible.
I agree.
From one firearm myth to another that made fans fume.
Sniper scope revisit.
Yeah, I am very pleased that we found some things to retest in this one, because personally, I don't really enjoy making snipers angry.
Is that why you're wearing this thing?
Yes, it is. So, what exactly did we get wrong on the first try?
Well, according to some viewers, we used the wrong rifle and/or the wrong scope.
Oh, is that all?
This myth goes back to Vietnam. The story goes that U.S. Marine sniper Carlos Hathcock took out his VC counterpart with a single shot straight down the scope. But when Adam and Jamie scored direct hits on scope after scope, the bullets never made it all the way through, leading Adam to conclude,
we don't have the scope that Gunny Hathcock shot at, so we can't know for sure. I say we have to call this myth busted.
Fans went, well, ballistic.
So what was wrong with the scope?
Well, fans say that we were not using a period scope, which apparently has a lot fewer glass elements than a modern scope, and thus, by extension, should be easier to get through with a bullet.
Okay. What about the ammo?
Yeah, well, it turns out that the modern ammo we use, while very accurate, is designed much more efficiently to kill than the period ammo, which means it breaks up much faster. That we got a letter saying the period ammo would have made it through more glass than modern ammo.
It was a harder bullet.
Yes.
Okay, let's see how the Mythbusters aim up this time.
Did that sit there like that?
Fresh from helping out with Finger in a Barrel, Sergeant Alan Normandy will once again be calling the shots.
According to photographic evidence, this is the exact same model of rifle that Gunnery Sergeant Hathcock would have been firing against. Exact same rifle, exact same mount, exact same scope. This is not a replica rifle. This is an actual period gun.
It looks like there's some Russian writing on here. You want to see if you can translate?
There's Russian writing on the rifle. Lucky Jamie studied Russian literature.
Первое сооружение заводе СССР в Tule 1928. So it means that it was made in 1928, and it was the first issue of the factory, I believe.
Alan's also scoped out a bunch of period-correct scopes. Put next to their modern counterparts, you can see that size does matter.
You can see that there's a size difference. There's not much of a difference in functionality. There's between 6 and 8 elements in each of these scopes. The light is moving similarly through them, but the lenses in this one are much bigger, which means they're much fatter. There's a lot more glass for the bullet to get through. There's a lot less glass for the bullet to get through in this scope.
Last time, the bullets were hitting the modern scope dead on, but were deflected by the heavy-duty lenses inside. That shouldn't be a problem with this scope.
If we can't fire through this scope, this myth is busted.
Grant's ballistic bust is on another tour of duty, this time as the sniper. His rifle and scope setup is authentic, exactly what Sergeant Hathcock's enemy target would have been using.
For this test, we're going to use this 30-06 rifle with an original 1968 vintage M72 173 grain round. This is the actual type of round that Gunny Hathcock would have used in his rifle.
30-06, 173 grain. This is a solid, full metal jacket round.
We've seen what these 30-06 bullets do and several times in the past, and we know that, for example, this bullet right here will go through 2 thicknesses of the ballistics glass that we use to protect ourselves here. These really are powerful bullets.
Jamie prepares to replicate Sergeant Hathcock's killer shot.
Deep breath. Let it surprise you. Dude. Oh, man.
How'd I do?
Well, we obliterated the scope mount for one. That's what I can see from here. I think we wasted a little energy on some of the metal.
Jamie was just off target. The bullet didn't make it through the scope. Instead, it smashed the casing. Our sniper's still a clear and present danger. It looks like the old scope isn't as easy to penetrate as first thought.
It may seem like the period scope has less glass to penetrate, and it probably does, but here's the catch. The period scope has a metal ring that's actually quite thick that the bullet has to push all that glass through to get to the other side. It's a little more difficult than it might seem.
Adam's solution is typically straightforward.
I don't know. I'm starting to think that we should just place this thing at point blank for the highest percentage of just seeing what the bullet will do. I'm all for it.
But Jamie doesn't agree. He thinks Adam's taking a pot shot at his aiming ability. And soon our science-loving snipers are sniping at each other.
I was pretty centered. I just need to move it up a little bit. I don't like to change variables every time we redo a test here.
Well, I wasn't trying to change variables. I was trying to eliminate them.
Well, by moving the desk closer, we're kind of like
by moving it all the way up to the barrel is kissing the thing, that's just removing the variable of aim. If you want to keep working with the variable of aim, I'm happy to.
Okay.
Jamie sets for a second shot.
Making ready for live fire.
He adjusts his aim just a fraction. And another 30-06 round thunders into the sniper's scope.
That looked like a good shot. Well, the glass is all obliterated. That's one good sign.
Adam admits admiration.
Well, that was a good shot, Jamie. That made it all the way through. The question is, Is that our bullet?
Sure looks like it to me.
Really? Oh, yeah, there's the copper.
It melted some of the glass with some of the heat exchange.
Wow.
So that's definitely copper.
The bullet blasted straight through the scope, but somehow stopped before Sniper Grant's beady eye.
The bullet made it all the way through and obliterated the glass, but it still was just sitting right there.
Yep. Our little guy here is not happy at all, but he's not dead.
The period scope plus the period rifle and the period ammo all made significant differences, but I still want to call this one busted.
What do you think, Al?
I'm not ready to call it over just yet. I got one little trick up my sleeve. USGI 30-06 armor-piercing ammunition.
Let's do it.
Stay with us as the mad trombonist myth reaches its brass-crushing crescendo. And next, the guys tool up to hammer a blacksmith myth. Now, the next myth ripe for revisiting is one I don't quite remember. Can a hammerhead really explode? Oh, that type of hammerhead. Got it. Sorry.
You know what? It's always the little ones. You think you've tested them thoroughly, but the fans, they still complain about it. It's exploding hammer.
Well, you know, I really thought we nailed that one.
I think we did too, but the people disagree.
Why?
Why don't we let the narrator explain?
Oh, okay then. Well, see, it all started when Jamie innocently used one hammer to bang another. "Don't do that," fans exclaimed. "A hammer can explode if struck by another hammer." Well, of course, that sparked a frenzy of flailing tools, as the Mythbusters tried to blow a hammer sky high without success.
Looks like the handle's bent, but no shattering.
But, according to fans, they got one or two things wrong. For a start, the modern hammers they tested were too soft. And when they fired up the homemade forge to try and harden a hammer, they didn't get the temperature right. Nag, nag, nag. And to top it all off, the anvil they used wasn't a real anvil. It was what blacksmiths call an asso, or anvil-shaped object.
So it looks like we need to get some pre-World War II hammers, some modern-day hammers that we can get all the way to transition temperature and then quenched, and finally, I think we need to get ourselves a real anvil.
Sounds like another trip to the blacksmith.
Got it.
So the guys are going to take another swing at this one. First, they'll take two modern commercial hammers, have them super hardened by a blacksmith, and see if it's crunch time.
Whoa!
Then they'll try it with antique, work-hardened hammers.
Let's see if fans are right.
And finally, they'll put the antique tools up against a real anvil.
One!
Now, last time around, Tori put together a top hammer-swinging rig,
Like kablamo! It'll be like blood down!
which he promptly destroyed after the myth had been busted.
We need the hammer rig. Unfortunately, I've chopped it up and turned it into a chop saw table. You'd think we would learn.
While Tori puts the rig back together, Carrie and Grant are off to forge a relationship with a blacksmith.
You even look like a blacksmith. Amazing.
Well, thank you.
As president of the California Blacksmithing Association, Herb Upham knows a thing or two about swinging steel.
See, here where a rather large piece has broken free from the top and has probably flown off at nearly the speed of sound.
Really?
Really.
Are you serious? The speed of sound.
The speed of sound.
And he has one or two hammer horror
The
stories.
chip flew off the hammerhead and cut the artery in their left arm.
Oh my God. So, What happened?
They needed some immediate first aid because the artery where it was severed was squirting blood directly out of their arm.
Modern hammers are a blend of metals, including tungsten and chrome, which softens the tool, making it less likely to chip and shatter. To make a hammer harder, you heat it to the point where the metal loses its magnetism. That's called the transition temperature. Then, when the steel cools, it's harder, and so the theory goes, more likely to shatter. Now, the Mythbusters tried this last time, but their homemade forge just wasn't hot enough. Herb's propane-fueled forge is a different beast.
Herb, that's like the Easy Bake Oven from hell.
Yes, it will toast your waffles to almost 3,000 degrees.
The brand new hammers are given the heat treatment, and when they no longer hold any attraction for a magnet, they're quickly cooled.
This hammer is now as hard as it's ever going to get.
All right.
But has the process made it any more shatter-prone?
It's in the danger zone. This, if you struck it or hit it on something, it would have a very high likelihood of shards coming off, shattering, and doing some real damage.
Great.
Excellent. Danger.
We'll take two.
Back at Hammer headquarters, Tory's reassembled the rig. It's powered by compressed air and a pair of pneumatic actuators.
In 3, 2, 1.
It works! Out in the blast chamber, it's hammer time.
The bang of the bang of the bang of the...
Herb's heat-treated modern hammers are about to swing. If the fans are right, we should be in for a smashing time.
I'm going to attach them to the rig closer to the head, so that way there's no chance of bending. All that energy will take place at the hammerheads.
First time round, the guys worked out that a top human hammer swing hits with a force of around 50 pounds per square inch. 50 psi works out to be 795 inch-pounds of torque. Will that be enough to make those hammers explode?
We should probably define what an explosion is before we do this test.
Did you see the Death Star when it went out? I want to see that, but like it's a hammer.
We want a shattering of hammerheads.
We want it to look like it was made of rock candy.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1. Whoa! We broke off the handle.
Yeah.
Well, it busted, but it didn't explode.
No, in fact, there's no damage to the head.
If these hardened hammers won't explode, there's no way a hardware store hammer is going to even think about going west.
These are modern hammers with modern alloys that are specifically made not to shatter. They're made not to break into pieces. I mean, they're extra hardened. So if it's not going to happen with our hardened hammers, it's not going to happen with a modern hammer.
High five.
Don't get too cocky, guys. You might have hammered home the point on the modern tools, but antiques and anvils are still waiting in the wings. Adam and Jamie have one last shot at shooting a sniper through his scope. And they're going to take it using armor-piercing ammunition. This bullet has a tungsten carbide core. It's designed to drill through quarter-inch steel plate without fragmenting. They're down to their last scope. Jamie will have to be right on target. They stick a dot to the dummy's eye, so any damage will show up clearly.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
You feeling good? You gonna make the shot?
Yeah.
It's make or break for this myth.
Deep breath on the exhale, squeeze slowly.
Jamie gets a bead on the enemy's eyepiece.
You took his wig off. Oh! Oh, Jamie!
Now we're talking.
Jamie's pulled off the perfect shot.
That hole is right down the middle of the scope. It couldn't be any cleaner than that. I see a disintegrated dot with maybe a hole in the middle.
But what happened to the bullet? It's not amongst the scope debris, and there's no exit wound in the dummy.
Hole in the back of the head.
I gotta say, that's worth looking into. I think we should take it back to the shop, cut it open, do a real autopsy, see if there's a bullet in him.
Okay.
I'm driving.
They heft the head back to HQ. And with absolutely no surgical precision whatsoever,
Good, we're getting in there. That's good.
Adam carves himself a wedge.
All right, I'm gonna cut this chunk out.
I mean, don't let this guy near your fresh-baked apple pie.
Okay. Hey, look at that. That looks like debris a good 2 inches into the sniper's eye.
Sure enough, like an insect trapped in amber, the bullet is buried in the gel.
Well, gee, that looks like a bullet.
And that means the fans have scored a direct hit.
Well, that's definitive. This bullet made it all the way through one of these scopes and in far enough to be a kill. That's a plausible myth.
Yep, he's dead. Fans were right.
I'm really glad that we no longer have to worry about a 3,000-yard restraining order against angry sniper fans.
Still to come, the guys steel themselves for some anvil antics. And our lone trombone sends us out on a high note. The Mythbusters have shown that a modern hammer, even a heat-treated one, isn't about to explode in the user's face.
There's no damage to the head.
So Jamie was never in any real danger. But what if our Berate Banger had been using historic hammers? Before World War II, hammers were fashioned from straight steel. Theoretically, the high carbon content makes them more brittle and therefore more likely to explode on impact. Tori takes the heads of 2 antique tools and welds them onto the swing and rig.
This next test should address 2 issues. One, pre-World War II hammers, which means they should have a higher carbon content. And secondly, they are seriously work-hardened. Blacksmith work-hardened, not just our shop work-hardened.
Let's see if the fans are right.
And 3, 2, 1.
The hammers go head to head.
Oh, that was a massive hit.
But apparently, even old hammers die hard.
Obviously, neither of these exploded.
No.
Not even a chip.
No.
Not content with sending an email, one blacksmith named Dorothy has actually sent in some pre-World War II hammers for the guys to test. She's sure her antique tools will give the guys their big break.
These have been work-hardened over many years, and she's actually retired them because she feels they're too unsafe.
Are these modern alloy hammers or are these pre-World War II?
These are old hammers.
They're ready to go.
All right.
So are we.
Here we go. Oh, wait. I need this.
Don't worry, Grant.
Never can be too safe.
All right. In 3, 2, 1. Whoa! Well,
Nah.
It looked like they hit right on the face.
Oh, yeah.
And what do you know? One of Dorothy's retired tools has given this myth its best crack at success.
It's a chip and a crack.
Yeah, that's not bad.
She wasn't lying. They're ready to go.
Surely, if it's subjected to a second blow straight away, it'll shatter like honeycomb.
You know, this is probably our best chance of getting an exploding hammerhead.
That's true. There's got some serious fissures and weaknesses in there.
Yep. This is it.
Here we go. In 3, 2, 1.
That hammer's lost its head. but still no explosive shattering.
And if you hit a hammer and you saw a crack like that, you would obviously stop using it.
Absolutely.
You ready?
Yeah.
Tori, Carrie, and Grant are still trying to make a hammer explode. They've really been putting their heads together. But to date, their best result has been a single fracture.
I think that does it for hammer versus hammer.
Yeah.
Maybe, Grant, but fans want one more test. Hammer versus anvil. And they want to see a real anvil this time, not the lightweight copy you tried to pass off in the original story.
This is 260 pounds worth of heat-treated tool steel that is a real anvil.
Now they're looking for a way to slam a hammer down on it. Yeah. The sharpest tool in the shed's been struck by an idea.
Decapitation hazard, everybody.
This powerful rotating rig was once used to cut a sword with a sword.
What I need to do is rotate it 90 degrees, so that way, instead of doing this, the rig will do this.
This new hammer-heaving hunk of metal will also be powered by compressed air.
The really good thing about it is that it can be scaled up. We can start out at human pressure, but then it has the ability, thanks to a huge actuator, to go to superhuman strength.
Tori attaches an antique hammer. Remember, the older and more work-hardened the tool, the harder and more brittle the steel.
All right, you guys ready?
In 3, 2, 1. Does that look like anything happened?
Hammer hits anvil with maximum human force. 795 inch-pounds of torque.
Holy crap. There's a huge crack in the head of this. It's very faint, but you can see right along there is a hairline crack.
Maybe, but there are no chips, no steel shards, and definitely no explosion.
All right, let's wrap it up. Superhuman strength? You got it.
Grant ups the air pressure to 100 psi. The rig will now deliver more than 1,500 inch-pounds of torque.
Way faster, way stronger than any human could possibly swing a hammer. 3, 2, 1.
The god of thunder himself couldn't have been any harder.
Well, the head didn't explode.
Yep, that was a massive hit.
I thought that was going to be it. I mean, we took every single factor into account. Work hardened, pre-World War II, real anvil, superhuman strength.
Do you want to stop talking for a sec? Look at that. It opened the crack up bigger.
That is no chip even. That's not an explosive shattering. I would have thought this would have done it.
Time to down tools, people. This myth has gone under the hammer.
I feel like we really busted this one the first time, and I think that still stands.
I totally agree. Hammerheads will not explode if you hit them against each other or on an anvil, whether the anvil's real or not.
Yeah, and we've never denied that the chips can fly off the hammer, and those chips can be extremely dangerous and potentially lethal, as we've heard in some cases. But as far as an explosive shattering, it's just not going to happen.
Adam and Jamie have blown the whistle on the mad trombonist myth. Now they're orchestrating what they hope will be a fitting finale.
One last thing we could do to put this to bed once and for all, and that would be to take our second backup trombone and solder or weld the mouthpiece so that no air can escape from it.
Our mustachioed maestro takes their one remaining mouthpiece and with all the delicate skill of a good drummer, bashes a bolt of metal into it.
What I've done is plug this up physically, and we're going to actually solder it into the end of the trombone so there's no other way for the gas to escape other than through the slide.
Then Adam takes over with solder and flame.
I put a bolt in there, and it's solid solder. And it's soldered right into the body of the trombone. This mouthpiece and this trombone never shall be rent asunder again.
The trombone is now sealed shut. Will that be enough to give the fans the result they're looking for?
Good to go.
Adam's mug is looking smug.
I do think it is part of due diligence to put this thing to bed, but I don't think it's going to do anything. It's not going to send this slide out towards Buster. Just no way.
Bold as brass, isn't he? All right, let's see what happens.
This is Mad Trombonist, final test, final revisit, welded shut mouthpiece in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Well, the trombonist's down and Buster hasn't budged. But hang on a cotton-picking minute.
The slide came off our trombone.
Where'd it go?
Jamie, it's up there, dude.
That's right, a full 70 feet away on the side of a hill.
Only on Mythbusters.
Well, there's a lot of people cheering at their television sets right about now. I was all arrogant and saying, no, it's not going to work. This is just stupid. I can't believe we're doing this.
That's right, he did say that.
It's not going to send this slide out towards Buster. Just no way.
The slide took off like a Stinger missile, somehow missing our conductor altogether, but probably knocking out the doorman.
Well, that's it. It definitely did leave during the explosion. Go right past Buster. You know, it's weird having a job where you really like being wrong.
That's true.
But, I mean, that's just awesome.
But despite that spectacular result, the guys aren't about to change their tune.
This doesn't change the status of the myth. We've already shown that a person whose lips are basically tied to the mouthpiece didn't put enough back pressure to cause the same result. So only if you had a metal person whose metal lips were welded to the mouthpiece would you have had the same result. It's still busted.
But it goes to show the fans are right to make overtures if they think the Mythbusters are off-key.
Based on what I've seen, the complaint the fans had about our diligence the first time we did this test seems to be correct.
Well, I still gotta say the myth is busted.
Oh, no doubt. I still put this easily in the busted category, but I am very pleased to see that the fans' concept and theory about the reason this slide could have left is actually correct.
Yeah, well, we're done.
All right.
Mythbusters books and DVDs are available at Dimmix and DVDs at JB Hi-Fi.